Hello, friends and traders. Welcome back to this phenomena of NQ mastery. I know most of you guys don't believe in the existence of the waves coming and hitting us on Earth from various planets. Let's assume that there is, and if you believe that is true, then you might also extend that thought into believing. If you go to New York, raise your hands and your eyes up towards the sky. What you should experience is the energy coming from those planets. And we can also look up in the sky and find out the locations of the planet. And we go and assume looking up at the sky and rotating all around us, having this view of things, that we are inside a sphere, which means there are spheres of each and every planets. So there's this energy grid is a sphere inside a sphere inside a sphere inside a sphere, controlled by the planetary spheres, which also we can extend this thought process that, as I said, knowing inside this 360 circular map of the Gann division of 30 degrees, there are 12 different sections we can break the sky into. And that also means we know where the planets are inside this 12 divisions of the circle. What we are trying to say here is there's a map of the zodiac which has housing system. They have been given the names and the properties. If you believe in all this by looking up in the sky, by raising your head and your hands in New York, Wall Street, then we have a process we can use for making money in the market using these energies. So what you're about to witness is just that mathematical operations replayed in NQ market. So given that context, there's something called precession of the equinoxes. Think about a heavenly sphere, the fourth dimension, which is surrounding us in the third dimension. These are all energy grids. Alright, so when that is rotating, it takes about 22,500 roughly years, or let's say 26,000 years, for the heaven to rotate. So if I'm standing here on Wall Street looking up in the sky with my hands raised, what I'm looking at, the location of the galactic sphere. When it rotates, it'll come back in the same location after 26,000 years, and I'll be still staring up in the sky. That is a complete heavenly circle, which if we can now break down into 12 divisions, that means the location of things we look up in the sky are going to stay in the single 30 degrees called a house for roughly 2200 years. Now as the things have shifted, we are now into a new cycle, a new phase of this. We are leaving the Pisces energy and we have entered the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by the planet Uranus, which has attributes of sudden energies, sudden release of energy, earthquakes. We'll talk about this a little later. I'm trying to tell you a story. The story is, if you don't believe in all this, the models will not work for you either. Because if you don't understand the basics, how can you construct a model based on that science, right? Even though it could be a voodoo science, right? It still has very strong statistical evidence. We cannot deny it. I was the biggest denier of this 14 years back. Then I became a certified astrophysicist. Can you imagine that? Alright. The transformation happens because when you start experiencing things with an open mind, not a biased mind, right? So just that is the whole story. So now we are in the phase of Aquarius. That means Uranus energy is going to be on us, upon us for next 2000 years. Aquarius means what? High-tech, energy, higher sciences, technology, space engineering, extraterrestrial activities, space travels, missiles, nuclear energy. Now the problem is, if this energy is superimposed by the planet, which will get boosted by this energy. For next 2000 years we are in this energy. Now the planets are rotating much faster than this 2000 year cycle we are into, right? So cycles inside cycles. Gann talked about 5 cycles inside cycles inside cycles. He's talking about the spherical energy. He's talking about those 5 planetary energies which are rotating, sphere inside sphere inside spheres, inside a sphere inside a sphere, and they are rotating and generating the waves. Think about that way, right? So my friends, as the planets will come and take, it's like a guest, right? In my house, people come and go. If I get a good friend, he's happy, household is happy. If I get a drunk friend, you have 5 wife and kids and you don't drink, right? You have to deal with that behavior temporarily, right? Or somebody is sick, the mood is always off, right? So what is happening? Same thing is happening. Once we are in this volatile Uranus sudden energy of what I just talked about, when the planets are coming and hosting themselves for a certain time, moon can be just there for maybe 2 days, or maybe 1 a day or half a day, right? Because moon has to rotate through all this energy in 29 days. So Saturn will rotate across all this energy in 29 years. Pluto will take massive amount of time. Now what has happened is, Pluto is assigned the properties of the 8th house of life and death, which is transformational energy, near-death experience, transformation. The Pluto has now arrived last 3 years, almost last 2 years, 3 years, we can check, in this Uranus energy. So now you think about the fusion, what has happened. The energy of Uranus superimposed by the energy of most powerful energy of Pluto. Radical shifts, life transformation shifts, and even death, physical, emotional, spiritual, or transformation, physical, emotional, health-wise. That is now fusing itself with Uranus. Wars are happening for all over for the reason. So if the reason we have to have this backdrop understanding is when we say I'm going to apply this Pluto and Uranus lines here, now we know why we're gonna use them, because we are impacted by these 2 volatile energies, and NQ is extremely volatile. Mars is a different kind of energy. This is inception energy. It's like starting something and taking initiative energy, transformation energy of different kind. So what you are looking at the chart here is, this star is nothing more than Pluto. So I will just apply one star system here, not bring the other one. So when we say we can have a very tick level accuracy, right? In this grid, we have the pivot predictor, the moon walker, we call this, right? The pivot to pivot predictor. Then we have this Gann angles we talked about. We also said in our prior videos, we always talk about the pivot is a, not every pivot is a pivot. Pivot is a good pivot if it has in the swing a very big bar. So this is a good pivot because it has a very big bars, right? Even though they are pivots, these are pivots. So we also say that these trend line, now remember the trend line, if I ask you to draw a trend line, you're gonna be using this, right? Or you're gonna be using this, or doing something like this, right? I am talking about a pivot trend line which is this, which is visible by this swings, right? This is part of this, the Gann automation, as you can see here, where we place it, where you want to place it. So that is the tool, morning pivot, right? Wherever I place it, I'm going to place it on a certain time window, on a different time, given time frame. 5-minute chart, 9:40. Why? For the reasons I just mentioned right here. Why is that necessary? Think about that logically, right? We're talking about the blasting of energy, blasters of energy, transformation of energy, right? We don't want to be in a sideways action. We need power moves, right? If you want to go in a smooth energy like Jupiter energy, or you're going to use Neptune energy, go and trade a crude oil. If you want to trade this volatile instrument and tame it to the tick level, you need to dynamically shift your philosophy and possible tool set. The 369 way is energy way, vibration way. All right. So, okay, now we have this backdrop. Okay, we can say, okay, there is something here, right? Because we have statistical very strong evidence. So, okay, if you're not believing in planets, that's fine. But if you believe in what I just said in a backdrop, keep that in a backdrop, the storyline, right? Okay. Now, with that context, when I say I'm going to drop this, I'm using this. So, what is happening here? Moon is the most strong satellite close to Earth, and we have this vibrations coming from the interaction of the moon and localized nearby planets on Earth and the planet close to sun. We are doing some interactions, and this is where it is getting plotted. Okay, and we also say why Gann has to be placed on a bigger bar, qualified swings. Remember, this is the reason why people cannot figure out how to use Gann angles properly. This is one of the reasons. All right, so this is what it is. So the chart is squared because we're using geometry. This one is, as I showed you, is a Pluto energy. Then they'll shift. I will also usually, when I trade NQ aggressively, I also bring Uranus energy, and sometimes I bring that day planet energy as well. All right. Okay, so I think we have enough. Now on the moon, we have mentioned several times, we have white and this fiducial lines. They need to converge together. So where I make my decision. And on top of that, I want to see where the big Pluto, the most powerful trend lines are. And trend lines are all projected up front. So if I say this line is a good trend line for the day, or this trend line, they are generating the trend for the day, that means I need to do some overlapping business, right? This is an over trend line. Which of these slopes from these lines are converging with this, right? If we look at this, right? The most closest one is this line itself, correct? So the one use case which we use, and we do some aggressive intraday NQ trading, we need to place it, right? It is sitting there. Where do I place it? There are a million combinations. That's why we have rules. So one rule is I'm going to, now this pivot line, this pivot and this pivot, which line is going to describe this? Among all these lines, this is seem like the closest line, isn't it? This line, if I put it here, see that? Now remember, we're not dealing with we're dealing with something, right? I am not finished with my chit chats, but let me finish it. All right. So this line seemed to be the line which, now this has already happened 3 in the morning. I come to do my business for my clients. What do? I see, okay, this line seems to be operational for the day. This is just the initial qualifier. I said, okay, this might be active for this day. And again, I've done it already, all this independently. I'm just putting it together again. Just, as you say, practice is mother of all progress. Okay, so I got my slope. Okay, for that day. I got this slope also for that day. You can just see this is a perfectly overlapping slope. Correct? Alright, this is perfectly overlapping slope. I need to do 2 things here. One thing is, okay, I get my line, where am I going? And then what do I need to do? I need to add, now if the slope is perfectly matching, what I do next, I'll match another pivot. There we go. This has already happened, right? So I'm looking at the immediate past, what has already happened, and I have placed, this one is opening, it went up. We already had this direction today that's gonna go up for the reasons, which is I'm gonna probably show you using the contract tracker. All right, let's make this evidence. Okay, so I see this and I see this. What am I looking for? I'm looking for, if this is, market is going sideways, it went down, dipped a little bit, this is the low for the day. Let's assume this is the low for the day. And market, we already having a bias, is going to be long for the day. Okay, so we can assume that this is the low. And it's confirmed by this line. So this line is already known to us, right? Okay. All right, this is all done. Now I'm going to trade. I have to pick my direction. Either I'm going to pick the bottom is known, I'm going to pick the top. If I'm going to pick the top, I'm going to go short. I have to patiently wait for it. Alright, now I have combined these 2 things and I'll draw another line, because remember what's going on here. I just explained to you, right? I'm curve fitting this point and this trend line, which is perfectly aligned. So this is why it was already, this is the reason. If the stop was known, you just put it here. This was the reason. See this? To the tick, it goes up, comes down to the tick. This is what I'm saying, a tick level trading control on NQ. Practice, time investment, mother of success is just one thing. A lot of time, a lot of practice. So this becomes second nature. So this is a structure unfolding. All right. When we reach this point, I'm not blindly shorting, right? I'm waiting for another event. So if I'm aware of all this, right? I haven't even moved anything. I'm just giving you the context. When I'm dynamically trading, I am using 2 of these grids, and I'm doing something very fast, very sharp. I'll be making probably 7-8 trades in a small area and done fast, super accuracy, right? So accuracy can be built with time, with the right tool. Now this is energy grid. So this is how we do it. All right. So hopefully you got that going. Now what about this Gann lines? So Gann lines are coming. 45 is this one, middle one is a 45 degree. Okay. Break, retest on 45. This is 45 coming down from the middle one. This is already projecting this, right? So okay, so this is so once you have this understanding, you're not confused. And just simply everything is fully automated. You just have to understand how to use this properly and how to place it properly. All right, let's bring our friend Uranus also. Just have to click it, make it bigger. You can change the colors and all this, no problem. All you have to do is change the colors, is all in the input itself. But right now, just look at this. Planet thickness. Alright, you can change the color also, not a problem. So now, see this one, there's a difference between the two. Okay, so what are we doing next with this guy? Same thing. So now we're gonna do the exactly same things, but we're gonna be doing the same things with this planet. I showed you one way to place it, correct? Let's show you another way to do things. Now you see this one and this one is happening. So market is happening this way, I put it this way. Okay, this line is already projected. This bottom, this top, every vibration you can see is gonna just come on these planetary lines. Anyway, so how do I place this? I just showed you one approach which is already placed here. In this approach, we can also do what we call as a reflection approach. Okay, this is that anybody can drag the tool, right? Their calculations will change day by day. This is a reflection, right? I'm looking at big moves. Were they reflected by this? So I'm just curve fitting it. That's all you need to do. Curve fit it. All right. And then what am I expecting? Now I have these two tools placed here, right? Market. I'm expecting that market is going to run into these levels, into the levels, run into this, fast, and this is where pros are sitting. See that? This is where pros are sitting. And here comes again, Mr. Gann angle is sitting there. Now you see this how it is accurately, because remember when we go, one of the rules, let's talk about the rule, right? One of the rule of Gann or anything about, let's say we talked about it, right? If I throw I'm a person here, and have a ball, right? The ball, if I say to throw a maximum distance, what angle will you throw at? Physics 101. They teach us all in physics. 45 degree is the best angle to throw the ball at. It goes the maximum distance. So if I find this trend, the way the green line trends right here, these are the trend lines I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the typical trend lines, right? This is a part of the Gann system itself, right? Gann. So if I find that line, I can do the laws of nature. Physics says, mechanical physics, that when it falls off, it's going to be a trajectory of 45 will give you the maximum distance it can go. And if I go to 60 degrees, it'll go like this. If I go to 90 degrees, it'll come like this, right? So what is this saying? The loss of momentum, acceleration, the velocity is physics 101. the way Gann applied this one thing, he said, if you move faster in price, okay, if you are moving faster in price, that means you have to spend faster in price, spending less time and price, right? If you're spending too much, movement is happening. Remember, if you're square, if you're using too much of, if I give you, you have so many, this is the distance, or let's say this is a rope, I give you the rope to draw a square. It'll be like this. If I tell you, you can adjust the rope. If I draw a rope, I can do it this way too, but it's not be a square anymore, isn't it? The rope is the same thing. If you think that way, it will make more sense, right? I am just adjusting this, the same height, same distance, or same, let's say this is 1 meter, or this is 4 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter. I can do this 3.9 meters here and 0.1 meter here. The rope is not changed, the shape has changed. That's what Gann is saying in time and price. So if I move very high distance, very fast, I have to spend less time. Or if I have moved in less time, if I say other way around, if I move a lot in less time, I will have to come down faster. That's why you get this panic moves. Panic moves. Why? You have moved so fast, you will not stay there longer. If you're move up faster, you will not stay there longer. Okay. I think I could not explain better than this. I will do better next time, but for now, my friends, accept this explanation. What has happened here? You moved up so fast, you will not spend too much time there anymore. You're gonna fall fast. So what are we doing? We're sitting here. And this line is also there coming, right? Look at this. You're sitting there. Even though the world is trying to catch up with this trend, that's why they say professionals always take the other side, for the reason because we understand the dynamics. So do you. You are all professionals now. Welcome to Mastery. So remember, I can bring 5 big energies like this to the tick, right? So I'm just dealing with 2. Nothing else. Is a pure price. There's no oscillator, nothing else. I'm showing you pure energy. Oscillators, we can put it, we have the world's best oscillators, right? So I hope this makes sense, right? And this line is coming. It came down to the tick, went up. It is bouncing between these energies. Now what else is happening in this energy? Right here. See this? This is Gann 45. There's 2 more angles we use. I'm not going to tell you the angles, but to the tick. Why? This is converging. Where am I hiding? I just told you. Somewhere here. Then what happens? It goes up, right? So if you just get your trade done based on just 1 or 2 trades, so you're done. So you have to assume that before you come to place the market, they will always do a dip on the other side, one side or the other. If there is a big bar, if it's sideways a little bit, it's not challenging. Risk is heavier. Remember, this drawing I drew, when the market is moving in a panic mode, risk is low, like this. Because it won't stay there in this mode for a longer time. That's why you see when we have this market profile levels sitting here, right? Value high, value low, and the professionals are using this areas or this areas, right? Market dips into this, they buy heavy because this rate of change is very fast. More we buy because we know the probability is very high that it will revert faster, and that's what we are looking for, right? Instead of this like this chopping you up, we want this out. Okay, That means you need super accuracy as well, right? That's all there is. All right, my friends, so I just wanted to bring this to your attention on this ecosystem, right? Okay, so now you need something. You need something, some helper. I'll always go back to, now this is 15-minute chart, right? Went from 5 to 15 NQ. So I changed this to, now this is our energy grade for price. You guys have seen this for years now. Gantt said something very critical. And it goes back to 369. 60 minutes is the middle point, 6. What kind of middle point is this? My friends, let's think about it. 3, 6, 9. It connects the intraday space into, let's call it a swing space, okay, where the big players are involved. So this is the boundary where the retail lives and big players live. So 60 minutes is a very critical chart. You can see things very clearly on 60-minute chart. You can add zeros on both sides, right? Zero is man-made object. So with that in mind, this is a 60-minute chart. And folks who have done our professional trading level 1, you know this is a buy. You know this is a sell. To the tick. Tick, I mean, I should not be saying to the tick, but I should say high accuracy. How about that? Let's get clear on this, okay? And you know why? Looking at the DNA bars. Look at the DNA bars, and you know why. So let's put now. Let's put contract tracker, okay? So we had a long bias today, I said, right? For the reason. What was the reason? Reason is this. This is the reason. This is the sell area on the contract tracking. This is on the bottom 2 lines are there, skinny lines. This is the buy area of the contract. So this oscillator, you see this oscillator was sitting after it collapsed right here. That's the reason we took a long bias. But then you will ask, you said you took a long bias, but you shorted the market. I shorted the market for this reason, right? Remember this, right? So we did take a long on the options, holding overnight. But for the futures, looking at this DNA bar, right? This DNA bar, this DNA bar, this DNA bar, this was, look at this, slicing of 50. This Gantt talks about 50 is the most critical level, isn't it? Well, 50 of what? 50 of what? Right? So our 50s are different. This is 50 of our levels. Look at this. And look at this, oscillator went on the top too, right? So the bias is long if you're trading in the long side. You need to find the right positions to trade long, right? So where is the long? Coming into the market, right? So the only long you have is, okay, let's say, because I mostly trade on the short side, mostly because of these reasons, right? We're using physical phenomena, which means if I do my analysis of my trades, I would say 65-70% trades are, you will see on the short side, because going in and out. If you see my option trades, they're hedge trades, right? If you look at my stock trades, they are on a pullback panic long trades, right? Depending on the strategy, you should be aware of it. And you cannot say that I only trade one side. If you want to be a pro trader, if they see you, let's say you go to Wall Street, if they see you just trading one side, I'm talking about the big money, not talking about the retail free funds out there. You may be 90% accurate, they'll get you out of the system. So they want you to see you trade both sides, right? That's why my stats are 65, 70, one side, other sides are there, right? Only when the panics happen, right? Panic. All right. And we also know, as I mentioned a few times earlier, that statistically, we know after the news happens, the first impulse, we can take it on the other side. We can do reversal trading on the first impulse with 70% accuracy. This is statistical evidence, which means if you're panicking in the system, the news comes, market is going here, news came, it did this, and you have these lines or something to support you, you can go against the initial impulse. That's what I'm saying. You can go against the initial impulse. The news comes, let's say the impulse on the top first, evidence shows you can go against the impulse if you have a system which can give you the perfect entry. This is initial impulse, right? Initial impulse. This is initial impulse. That's what I'm trying to say. The anti-impulse can be done, initial impulse against that can be done with 70% accuracy on those 7-8 news days. All right, so let's, I think, just wanted to bring all this to your attention. It's a great Friday. Every day is a great day if you know what you're doing. Okay. So to know when the market is opening, what am I doing? I'm taking this trade. I want to get in a panic into some levels, right? This level is there, this line is there. So I already have this. I'm placing it. Why did I place here? Market is doing this. So yeah, see the big huge bar. I can see this is also good. Why? Because the top and the bottom ruptured and captured. We're saying, oh, this is happening. It is also ripping up on both sides. But even though it is ripping on both sides, it is captured by Uranus on both sides. So, okay, I got that going. I got this going, right? I got this guy pivot, and this is a pivot. So it's, again, as I said, it's nothing complicated. You just need to have, now what I'm not showing you here is one thing, which is a squaring of the chart. I mentioned 1 by 1, 3 by 3, but we do one more extra step for professional traders only who are in the professional trading program. There's an extra step which you get. We are adding another layer which you cannot see. All right, which may make a difference. Maybe instead of line coming to the tick, it may be going a little bit here. It will make a few difference. It's okay. Remember, we want energy bars. For that reason, we had Renko bars. That's for that reason we had Hakenashi bars. We want to get out of the unwanted time sideways action. We need a real move. Hakenashi moves. We need a real Renko move. The range moves, right? If you are just sitting in the same range for 10 hours, it will be one bar only. So, but we are energy players. We want to see the same thing. Unless you have energy impulse, don't move. Right? Don't trade. So energy is what we are after, because we need to have a system which will last for next 1,000 years. In fact, for you guys, 22,000 years, because you will be up looking at the skies for 22,000 years from Wall Street. Remember, if you believe that energy never dies, you can choose to be on Wall Street for next 22,000 years. Maybe you have to just reshape it many times, right? But you will be there. So I think, jokes apart, let's get back to, it's a truth also in this, but let's get back to this. It's Friday, right? So, okay, so I put it here, I put it here. Okay, where do I come? I need some evidence that hey, something's working. So I find this, I need pivots to be bouncing, I'll keep it here. So I have two lines. I think I put a white yellow line here because you might not be able to see this little bit lightweight. I should change the color, but you got it, right? So I already know this is coming at 9:30. It goes into a dump. Right? See that? Bumps, bumps, bumps. Everything you see here is bouncing from the planetary lines. Planetary lines, energy lines. What we are doing, how are we building all this? This is the magic. You want to write thousands of lines of code of magic or learn how to make money, right? So I think either way, I always leave some hints here. The hints are pretty simple. Find out the distance between where you are and the closest planet and do some mathematical operations of 3, 6, 9 or 12, right? Gann. These are just, they look like Gann spokes.